Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Martin Kove about Season 5 of Cobra Kai, dropping worldwide on Netflix September 9th. It's an honor and privilege to be speaking with you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It is so crazy. So this is one of the things that I've been really excited to ask you. So Season 4, so Kreese is always known for being that character in the Karate Kid movies and in Cobra Kai that causes a lot of trouble for a lot of the characters, puts them in a lot of hot water. We see that constantly. Season 4 ends where the tables have turned a little bit. Kreese is now in hot water. He has gotten arrested. He is framed. What's that like, kind of seeing that happen in Season 4, knowing that Kreese is the one that causes a lot of havoc? Now he's in hot water and trouble. I find that very interesting.
Well, for me, it's a breath of fresh air because I always like to play, contrary to what I played on the show, I like to play the vulnerable moments.
Yes.
The moments, the highly emotional stuff. And I enjoy that. As an actor, I really enjoy that. And it goes as far back as having the writers, solicit me for this series. And I said, as long as you make the character, you write the character with texture and vulnerability and some emotion, not like the Karate Kid character in episode 1 of the trilogy of the movies.
Yeah.
Karate Kid, the first one, all three of them was just, pretty much conscienceless and tough, but he had problems. And now that Kreese is a character that people feel for now, that they know he's really just a misunderstood character. Like I've always said, he's not a villain.
Yes.
So basically they are enjoying and feeling, even when I go to some of these conventions, they say, we used to hate you. Now we really feel sorry for you. We see you have a soul. And I love to hear that. I love to hear that. As an actor, it feels like you've not only have the writers written that for you and set you up, but you feel really comfortable that you're able to be a little more versatile than the one-dimensional tough guy, and people are seeing it and experiencing it and totally enjoying it.
And did you have those kind of thoughts, even the pre-Cobra Kai days about Kreese, even like with Karate Kid 3, about the possibility of him being shown more as a misunderstood, not labeled as the villain? Like, was this like a conversation that you've had with people for a while, or did that just kind of start more with the series Cobra Kai about seeing another side of John Kreese?
Well, I would always say, that people would come up and whether you're in a supermarket or you're, at an interview, and they would say, we love your villainy. Yeah. And I say, well, he's not a villain. He's just a misunderstood character. And I've always set it up, even with the writers, as I just said, that early on, I wanted to have, whether it was flashbacks or whether it was just written into the current script situation, I wanted to show him with other colors,
yes,
with texture, with other emotions, other than what we saw in Karate Kid 1. And now that people really enjoy seeing that part, it's just, there's a lot more of it in Season 5.
Absolutely. I think an argument could be made that Cobra Kai is a genre-bending show. I think everything is thrown in there. I think there's action, there's comedy, there's drama. Do you feel like that aspect of it is something that was premeditated, or do you think that just kind of happened because of the dynamic, amazing storytelling and characters from the Karate Kid movies, but also the new Cobra Kai characters? What do you think about the genre-bending component of Cobra Kai?
Well, Cobra Kai brings in, I'll tell you how it really goes. It goes that the parents, and I've heard this many times, the parents truly love the movies.
Yes.
And remember when they were 18 and 16 and 14 and the movies meant so much to them. It meant so much to them because they were either in a romance that didn't work out, or they were bullied, or they were a fish out of water. Mm-hmm. And so they try to impress the kids to watch they hear the kids watching the show, and the kids say, "You got to watch this, Daddy," and they say, "But you should see the movies."
Yep.
And the kids are reluctant to watch the movies, and then all of a sudden they see Cobra Kai, and they go back to their parents and they say, "Can we watch? That's a good idea. Can we watch those Karate Kid movies?" And they watch them, and then the ultimate experience is when now all the family gets around the TV and watches Cobra Kai. So material in the films preceded Cobra Kai, but the writers write Cobra Kai so much with such grace and such intelligence and perception that you have a merger of two generations all watching family television, which doesn't happen.
No.
It happens my generation watching the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yeah.
And everybody around the Ed Sullivan Show every Sunday night. And it was something for everyone. Now, there's not that much on television that's for everyone. So Cobra Kai is, and that's the essence of the legacy of Cobra Kai would truly be, it was a show for everyone.
Absolutely. To add to that as well, there's so many amazing characters that show up in Cobra Kai. And, you go to the conventions, you see a lot of the amazing fans from all around the world. Our favorite moments, because I'm a huge fan of the show. My favorite moment when a new season comes out, Martin, is seeing who's coming back, what's everyone up to. That's my favorite. I think that's just a testament to the writing, that we're so invested and curious about all these different characters in the Cobra Kai universe.
Well, they've certainly written a lot of characters. We started off with 4, 5, and on a regular basis, and then now there's 12. So, but I enjoy the kids. I enjoy how well they write the kids. And honestly, I would have this discussion with Robert Kamen, and I've talked about this many times. Robert Kamen, who wrote all 3 Karate Kid movies, and recently just wrote Karate Kid the musical.
Yes,
which I premiere in St. Louis a couple of months ago. And he always would say that it was the combination, the chemistry between Miyagi and Daniel that made the movie successful.
Yeah.
It was the written word. It was wax on, wax off. It was no mercy. It was sweep the leg. It was mercy is for the weak, hear it on the streets. It was the written word, just like we see in Star Wars, the Force be with you. Just like we see in Casablanca, play it again, Sam. Just like you hear all these wonderful lines from the classic movies. And why do we remember these lines? Because the movie itself was written beautifully.
Yeah.
And why do you remember Karate Kid and No Mercy and Sweep the Leg 35 years later? Because it came out of literature.
I'm going to be honest with you, though. It's almost like you knew what I was going to ask you next. I swear, the next question I was going to ask you was, are you able to pick your favorite between No Mercy and Sweep the Leg, or is that just too tough for you in terms of your favorite phrase or the go-to phrase? I feel like they're both huge, but I feel like it's hard to pick, right?
Well, I tell you, No Mercy, obviously everybody likes, but No Mercy was used in a variety of films.
Yes.
We've heard in war movies, God knows, there was a very poignant film recently that I watched. There was an old movie, and they said, he said to the troop, no mercy, and it was a movie from the 50s. But in the context of what we're talking about, I think that when he's, my initial audition was up and down the dojo, walking up and down the aisles with the students. And I would say, mercy is for the weak, here and on the streets. Somebody confronts you. Those lines were terrific. And they're embedded because they were my audition process. But it's very exciting, where you go when people say no mercy. I go to a place to study, to do some spiritual study. And I press the button on the side of the wall, and to say it's Martin Kove, coming in, and they don't say anything to me. They don't say, who's this? It's a security guard on the other side. They just go, no mercy. and they open the gate, So it's like, it's electrical gate coming in, allowing me to come in because of those 2 words.
Yep.
So, but Really, you really have to conceive these words in the position they're in the film to make it memorable. If it comes out of nowhere and it's a large cavalry troop charging Native Americans on the field, oh no mercy, and it's 55 men charging at the same moment. But the way Robert Kamen set it up, it was monumental.
Yep.
And it was most memorable. So you carry it with you, for 35 years.
Absolutely. One of my favorite things that Cobra Kai has done in the last couple of seasons is the backstories and origin stories of John Kreese. That's one of my favorite things. So I'm just curious, and your son Jesse Kove, who's a 2-time guest, showed up in part of that backstory, which is so amazing. What were those conversations like with the writers about when you found out about the backstory showing Kreese's origins when he was younger before he went into the military? What were those like specifically?
Well, it was the beginning of the beginning of season 3.
Yeah.
And I had my notes. I had met with mercenaries. I had met with Army Rangers. I had done and I wanted to do some flashbacks of Vietnam. And we had lunch in Beverly Hills, and I came with my legal yellow pad with all my notes. And I never got a chance to read any of it because these cats were right on it. They were perceiving everything for the next year and a half of the character. And I never even got to my notes, because I said, well, what's going to happen in the next season? And they said, well, considering flashbacks and in Vietnam and all the things you saw, which explain why John Kreese is like John Kreese, why he had a hard time and why he's so merciless for the weak, why he's so merciless in form of instruction.
Yeah.
And that was it, man. They just had it, and I just looked at them, and I looked at my notes. I tossed my notes and, I create a backstory to all my characters and things that are written between that are not between the things that you put in between the lines that are there in the script. And I always do that because it's fun. I didn't do that as a young actor, and I should have, but now I do it all the time.
Yeah.
And there's so much to put in there with John Kreese, and they allow by their writing they're so imaginative and creative. They allow your imagination to go fly instead of it being in reverse, And many times you have to work at creating a backstory because there's such a thin character in the script, and you're trying to make more of it. Because as actors, we try to make more of what it is. But by giving yourself a backstory, by giving yourself why and how you're in this position in life, it makes it all so much richer when the camera's rolling. And, no one knows why it's richer, but you do, because you have an entire identity before this writer wrote the words.
Absolutely. And I believe it was end of season 3 where Kreese makes a phone call, we find out, that to an old friend, which is Terry Silver. And, everyone was so excited about that because everyone knew what that meant and the possibilities of Kreese and Silver getting back together with Cobra Kai. So those are the conversations that Kreese and Silver had. What were the conversations that Martin and Thomas had specifically? Like when you saw him on set, did you speak to him before filming? What were those conversations like that you were kind of back together working on Cobra Kai?
Well, the most fun was visiting him in Malibu. The most fun was making fun of his friends. The most fun was watching him just, in essence, as far as John Kreese is concerned, he was dying.
Yeah.
Terry Silver was dying, having tofu and having, vegetable appetizers only and not having any meat and all this nonsense, and living in that world where his friends couldn't even pronounce karate, and I had such a good time, even though I wanted him to join me because I needed help, because they had bonded together, Ralph and Billy. It was so much fun as an actor. That was more fun, playing and condescending on this style of life, which was wealth and comfort and Malibu and all. I just enjoyed ribbing him because our relationship was not about tofu, you know, our relationship was not about daiquiris, you know, our relationship was swinging tequila and beer and surviving and watching each other's back. And I saved his life. And that's what the basics, and creating Cobra Kai so people and kids would not be as intimidated as they were back in our period of time when they rebelled against the army coming and the kids coming back from the war. You know, we needed to show some macho, but realistic from the heart. And that's what I had fun with. We didn't talk much about the character. We really didn't, because when we did Karate Kid 3, we talked about ourselves and we called ourselves the Young Terminators, because we had, you know, run of the set. We did whatever we wanted to. We were the two bad guys that now there were two of us. There was John Kreese and Terry Silver. And, you know, I couldn't do Karate Kid 3, which was written for me totally. It was my vehicle. And what happened was I got a television series called Hard Time on Planet Earth. And Karate Kid 3 was written for me. I was creating the sting on Mike Barnes and on Ralph, and it was my vehicle. And then I couldn't do it, so they had to put me on the periphery and rewrite for a character named Terry Silver. Yes. So he would have even been in Cobra Kai had I been available to do that movie, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And before we wrap up quickly too, you know, you're doing a lot of conventions right now. You had a podcast with your kids, Kicking It with the Coves, which I'm a subscriber of. I love the podcast. When did you start realizing that things were going to just be nonstop busy projects, podcasts, conventions? Was it, you know, as soon as you joined Cobra Kai, where you were kind of like, now there's an appetite for behind the scenes of Cobra Kai. There's an appetite, you know, to see what I'm up to with my kids. Like, when did that start kind of resonating a little bit?
Well, my daughter was essentially responsible for the Kicking It with the Coves, which is, you know, on Spotify and Apple, and it's which is very exciting coming up because we're reviewing all the guests, Ralph, his daughter, stunt coordinator, all the writers. We're, as of September 4th, they're re-releasing all of their segments, which are brilliant, just brilliant. You learn so much. But the bottom line is that I've always wanted to, even with Cobra Kai, without Cobra Kai, I've always wanted to revive the Western. Yeah. And it's something I've always wanted to do. And, you know, Costner is doing it now, and 1883 was helpful and all. And every 10, 15 years, the genre comes into favor. And I really want the kids to see the moral fiber I grew up with, which was the Westerns in the 60s. You had 35 Westerns on primetime TV, 35 Westerns. And the moral fiber of John Wayne, of The Searchers, of Red River, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Wild Bunch. You know, there's a moral fiber that the kids are missing today because we're watching a lot of Marvel comic books and the kids aren't watching strong plot. The biggest problem is that genre from 1920 to 1967, every one of 3 movies that came out in Hollywood was a Western. So it's an overexposed genre. And the problem is, to become original and fresh, it's a lot of hard work. So that's always been in the background with Cobra Kai. Now you have a little less time to do it, but I'm doing a movie called Farhaven with my friend Bruce Boxleitner, and my son's in it. He's got a bigger part than I do, and it's a Western. Yep. And I'm having a Western written for me, a comic book form, and that's what I've always wanted to do. Being busy from Cobra Kai, it's good. Yes. But you don't lose the primary function of what you want to do with your career. And to go off and do a play a year. Do a Western and a play, I'm complete. And I can die.
And before we wrap up super quickly, you know, season 5 is right around the corner. It's going to be coming up pretty soon. Without any spoilers, what can we expect from season 5 of Cobra Kai?
Well, there are so many surprises in this, and it's big. Yes. It is huge, you know. And I was on the phone with the writers 2 days ago, and they're shooting a movie for Netflix called they're shooting a new series, Obliterated. It's about anti-terrorism. And they asked me, do I like the trailer? And I said, the trailer was brilliant, and did I see the season? And I said, the season is wonderful. And the trailer is great because, you don't even see John Kreese until the very end. And all of a sudden he has those lines, well, I really find that showing kindness here in jail is the way to impress everyone. And boom, you cut to me kicking ass with a bunch of guys in the cell. So, and I'm cracking up. I'm hysterical. And I never laugh at myself on the screen. I get serious.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, it's such a big season. The fighting is so good. The stunt coordination is brilliant. And it's bigger. Like all sequels that go and, they spend more money. It's just wonderful. And it's interesting that the season is a lot of what the kids do, but the trailer is a lot about what Ralph, Billy, and I do, about the focus on us. So it's really an interesting dichotomy. And I can only tell you that it is really exciting. And it's all based on the good writing. It's just without good writing, I don't care how much your budget is, how many special effects you have. You don't have good writing and good character development. Might as well, just, start working on being a tile man on the floor. Yeah.
It's my favorite thing. I can't wait for people to see it September 9th on Netflix. Martin, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. It was so great chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good talking to you.
Good talk to you. Social media, plug away. Like, there's a lot there. You're on Cameo. You can plug. Like, people can follow you on all the social medias, I believe.
Yeah, Cove, .com, and throw in a cameos there, and there's it's all kinds of good stuff coming on, and I think it's always great to be in contact with my fans, and I try to spend as much time working with them because I still enjoy the people. Business is a little crazy, but I really, I really enjoy the interaction, whether it's at a Publix or whether it's, just chatting with someone on the phone.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Martin Kove, who plays John Kreese in season 5 of Cobra Kai, streaming worldwide on Netflix September 9th. And PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.